You've prayed, cried, fasted, begged, worshiped through the silence, and still, heaven feels quiet, your situation hasn't shifted, and your soul starts to whisper the question you're too afraid to say out loud: God, where are you? And while the enemy rushes in to accuse God of abandonment, what you don't realize is this: God's delays are never denials, but they are always divine. Sometimes the greatest test of your faith isn't how loud you can pray, but how long you can wait. The truth is, there are reasons God hasn't answered your prayer yet, and they're not random. They're deeply spiritual, deeply strategic, and they're doing more in you than any yes ever could. The first reason God hasn't answered is because your heart posture matters more than your prayer request. James 4 verse 3 says, "You ask and do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives, to spend it on your own pleasures." God doesn't just hear words, He weighs motives, He examines hidden intentions, He looks past your language and sees your loyalty. You say you want breakthrough, but do you want it for His glory or your comfort? You say you want that opportunity, but would that platform promote His name or puff up yours? Some of the very things you're asking for are beautiful on the outside, but would become idols on the inside if God gave them too early. God is not a vending machine for desires. He's a refiner of hearts. And right now, if heaven is quiet, it might be because God is peeling back the surface of your request and performing surgery on the root of your intentions. He's not punishing you, He's purifying you, because what good is answered prayer if it poisons your soul? The second reason is this: your character isn't yet ready to carry what you're asking for. We live in a generation that values speed over substance, but God is not interested in giving you something that your spiritual maturity can't sustain. Psalm 84 verse 11 says, "No good thing will He withhold from those who walk uprightly," which means if it's being withheld, either it's not good, or you're not upright yet. That spouse you're begging for, would you lead them in prayer or lead them into compromise? That promotion you're pleading for, would it push you closer to God or further into pride? David was anointed king as a teenager but didn't wear the crown for years. Why? Because God had to train the warrior before He released the king. Delays are divine development zones. The waiting room is not a punishment, it's a classroom. And if God gave you what you wanted too soon, it would crush you under the weight of your own unpreparedness. He loves you too much to give you the blessing before He builds your backbone. That thing you think you're waiting for might actually be waiting on you, to mature, to submit, to grow roots deeper than your ambition. Here's a third, hidden reason: there's a spiritual war over your breakthrough, and you don't even realize how close you are to it. Daniel 10 shows us that when Daniel prayed, God answered immediately, but the answer was delayed by demonic interference for 21 days. You think heaven is ignoring you, but what if your answer is already on the way, and hell is fighting to keep it from reaching you? Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities in the heavenly realms. This means sometimes you're not just praying, you're pushing. Your worship isn't just sweet, it's warfare. And every time you feel the pressure to give up, to let go, to assume God said no, what if that's the enemy's last attempt to abort something that's seconds away from being born? You've been crying, "God, why the delay?" And God has been whispering, "Hold the line, it's already released, don't let go before it gets here." But here's the danger: delay breeds doubt. Doubt breeds detachment. And detachment makes you walk away from doors God was still opening. The enemy wants you to give up in the hallway before the door even swings open. Don't fall for it. Keep standing. Keep praying. Keep pressing. Because what you can't see in the natural, God is orchestrating in the supernatural, and your persistence is pushing through spiritual barriers you don't even know exist. But maybe the most uncomfortable truth is this: you haven't obeyed the last thing God told you, and now you're asking for the next thing. Luke 6 verse 46 asks, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say?" You want new instructions, but God is still waiting on old obedience. You're asking for step 5 while ignoring step 1. You're crying for direction, but you haven't acted on the conviction He already gave you. You're asking for open doors, but you haven't closed the ones He told you to walk away from. Sometimes God's silence isn't a denial, it's a divine echo. Go back to what I said last. And the longer you delay obedience, the longer you delay breakthrough. Partial obedience is still disobedience. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. And no amount of religious activity can substitute for surrendered action. God doesn't respond to spiritual performance. He responds to surrendered hearts. If you're begging for an answer, pause and ask, have I really obeyed what He already made clear? The truth is, many people want deliverance but not discipline, miracles without submission, and favor without faithfulness. But God honors those who walk in the fear of the Lord, not those who merely ask loudly. And finally, there's a higher truth that transcends every reason you think applies. Sometimes God delays because the timing isn't about your convenience but about His glory. John 11 tells the story of Lazarus, a man Jesus loved deeply, who got sick and died because Jesus delayed. Martha and Mary were devastated, confused, and disappointed. But Jesus wasn't late. He was strategic. Because a healing would have been impressive, but a resurrection would reveal something far greater. Some of the prayers God hasn't answered yet are because He's not planning to meet your expectations. He's planning to exceed them. You asked for relief. He's setting up resurrection. You asked for restoration. He's preparing revelation. Isaiah 55 verse 8 says His ways are higher, and that includes His timing. You want God to show up now. But what if now would only build your comfort, and later will build your legacy? What if God is orchestrating things in a way where when the answer finally arrives, no one, including you, can take the credit? He's weaving a story where the only possible explanation is Him. Your delay has purpose. Your waiting is worship. And your unanswered prayer is the stage being set for God to do what only He can. So here's your challenge. Stop measuring God's love by how fast He answers. Start measuring it by how faithfully He shapes you in the silence. Prayer isn't a formula for control. It's an invitation to surrender. The goal isn't just to get what you want, it's to become who He's called you to be. And maybe the reason God hasn't answered isn't because He's forgotten, but because He's focused on finishing something deeper, something stronger, something eternal. Will you trust Him when He's quiet? Will you obey when it hurts? Will you